Good morning. Glad to be with you. I'm Frances Rivera. We begin in Louisiana, where Tropical Storm Francine is still bringing dangerous conditions. Heavy rain has flooded New Orleans. A local official says the canals and pumps are overwhelmed. This rescue was caught on camera. Shows a Good Samaritan breaking the window of a truck to help get the driver to safety. Francine has weakened to a tropical storm, but made landfall as a Category 2 hurricane. Nearly 400,000 power outages are being reported this morning in Francine's path. NBC's Jay Gray has more from Louisiana.
New Orleans beginning to feel some of the stronger effects of Francine, the storm that made landfall as a Category 2 hurricane and now pushing inland, bringing with it strong winds, gusts over 100 miles an hour, and a driving rain. Some areas have already seen 7 inches of rain, and that's going to increase as this storm moves through. Of course, very low-lying area in New Orleans, most of the city below sea level, and so that water really has nowhere to go. It will continue to build, and flash flooding again is going to be a very serious problem here. Evacuation orders remain in effect, obviously, along the coastline. Shelters are open, not only here in Orleans Parish, but across several parishes in the state. We know that electrical and power crews are waiting, as well as recovery teams just outside the strike zone. And as soon as this storm clears, they will move in. The storm had picked up some momentum, shifted to a Category 2 with sustained winds of 100 miles an hour just before landfall. It seemed to have slowed a bit. That could be an issue with the flooding problems, because if this storm lingers, those water totals are just going to grow, and that's where you're going to see a major problem. Of course, the wind is something you have to watch. We already know that there are tens of thousands just in the New Orleans area without power. That number is expected to grow as this storm moves through, and it's just going to be a rough ride here and along the path of Francine for the next several hours. That's the latest here in New Orleans. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
Okay, Jay, thank you, and hope people stay safe. For now, let's get an update on Francine's path. NBC meteorologist Angie Lasman is tracking this storm. What are you watching now, Angie?
Hey there, Francis. We're watching the system continue to weaken here over the next 24 hours, but still have a whole lot of rain associated with it and those impacts of wind. And of course, some strong storms still possible. It's got winds right now, 50 miles per hour, sitting just to the northwest of New Orleans, about 20 miles. Plenty of rain still to come for folks here as this system lifts to the north. It will likely maintain tropical storm strength here as we get through at least tomorrow morning, then significantly weakens as it kind of stalls out across parts of this region. Still going to be bringing considerable flooding as we've got another maybe 3 to 5 inches of rain with this system. Notice where the flood alerts are right now. We've got flood watches for a good chunk of people, but we've also got flash flood warnings near the New Orleans area, where we've seen that those low-lying areas really be dealing with a whole lot in the way of rainfall with nowhere for that water to go. So flooding will be widespread for that area. The chance for some of those stronger storms that I mentioned from Panama City to Birmingham is there today. We'll see a couple of tornadoes likely as we still have that circulation that could cause some spin-ups from this system. The wind gusts will be upwards of 60 miles per hour, Francis.
Angie, thank you. Let's turn now to the race for the White House. The candidates took a somber break away from the campaign trail. Vice President Harris and former President Trump shaking hands again one day after their debate as they attended a memorial marking the 23rd anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Harris joined President Biden at several ceremonies honoring the victims. NBC's Bree Jackson joins us now. Good morning, Bree. That day of remembrance came on the heels of a fierce debate. So what impact is that showdown having on the race now?
Good morning, Francis. So we know that face-off in Philadelphia did reach a lot of people. According to an estimate from Nielsen, more than 67 million people tuned in. That's over 15 million more viewers than the Trump-Biden debate. Now, it's looking less likely that we'll see a sequel to that showdown. Former President Trump says he feels like he won, so he's not sure he needs to do another debate.
When a fighter has a bad fight, gets knocked out or loses the fight, the first thing he says is, we want a rematch. So we won the debate according to every poll, every single poll. I think that, are we going to do a rematch? I just don't know.
And it's safe to say the Harris campaign also feels they won. They posted what they called their new campaign ad, and the video shows almost the entire debate, but it cuts away before Mr. Trump's closing thoughts. The Harris campaign is also fundraising off the post-debate endorsement they got from Taylor Swift. They quickly started selling friendship bracelets, which are already marked sold out on their website. More than 337,000 people visited the link Swift shared, encouraging people to register to vote. The post had only been up about 15 hours when NBC News was given that total. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris is kicking off a 4-day swing state tour today in North Carolina, and former President Trump will speak in Arizona. Mr. Trump has scheduled a press conference in Los Angeles tomorrow, but the campaign has not said what he will be talking about. Francis.
Bree, thank you. State election officials are accusing the U.S. Postal Service of failing to adequately prepare for the upcoming presidential election. They say the Postmaster General has failed to address multiple shortcomings that could lead to fewer people voting and a loss of trust in the electoral system. This includes long mail delivery times. In a statement, the USPS spokesperson said they are currently delivering mail in 2.7 days on average. They recommend voter mail their completed ballots at least 1 week prior to their state's deadline. In Memphis, the federal trial is underway for 3 former police officers charged in the death of Tyree Nichols last year. Prosecutors say the officers took turns beating the 29-year-old. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith have all pleaded not guilty to using excessive force, as well as several other charges. During opening statements, defense attorneys say the cops' actions were in line with training. Prosecutors say 2 other former officers have pleaded guilty and will testify. The officers could face life in prison if convicted. Turning to the worsening wildfire emergency in Southern California, where dozens of homes have been destroyed and several people injured, including firefighters. NBC's Dana Griffin has the latest.
In Southern California, the race to escape. A barefoot woman narrowly rescued by a fire crew as flames surround her. Erratic winds fanned the bridge fire, burning across 2 counties, destroying at least 39 homes. This woman and her cat helped to safety near Wrightwood, California, the hardest hit area. Here, the fire has come down the hill. It is now burning along the roadway, jumping over to this side of the street where you can see trees are now on fire, hollowing them out. This will likely fall on the road and block it. How do you wrap your head around all of this?
You don't. Not yet.
Chuck Lyons' dream home is now unrecognizable, but he knows every inch.
That's our basement. This was our living room.
As fires rage, 34-year-old Justin Halstenberg has been arrested for arson, accused of starting the line fire, burning now for nearly a week in San Bernardino County. His family declined to talk. And the sheriff there says 2 people have been arrested for allegedly trying to burglarize evacuated homes in the fire zone.
If you're going to be an opportunist in San Bernardino County and we catch you, you are going to jail.
Air quality has plummeted as winds push smoke into Las Vegas. But as homes fall to the fire's forward march, some vow to stop it any way they can.
I built that damn house right there. It's not mine, but I'm not going to let it burn.
Dana Griffin, NBC News, Wrightwood, California.
Right, now let's turn back to Angie, who's tracking the fire danger. Hi again, Angie.
Hi there, Francis. We've still got some of these warnings up across a good chunk of the country, specifically most of it across the Great Basin, but we do have those red flag warnings, of course, near LA County. Those will stay in effect through the day today, along with all of these 5 million people from Denver to Rapid City, Bismarck, North Platte, all included as we have the conditions set for the critical fire here levels. We'll watch for the low humidity and the winds to be an issue across that region. Meanwhile, it's the temperatures for Minneapolis. 86 degrees. We're running way above normal for this time of year across the northern tier of the country. That goes for tomorrow, too. Back to the 80s we go in Detroit, Pittsburgh, and New York City. We end up kind of more of the same here as we roll into the weekend. Temperatures topping out into the mid-80s for New York and ending up into the upper 70s by the time we start our next work week. Let's look at the weather across the country. Let's see what's happening in your neighborhood. 83 degrees in Jacksonville. We'll see some showers and thunderstorms across parts of the southeast. Plenty of sunshine, though, for the Midwest. 87 degrees in Chicago. Green Bay, full sunshine with a high of 87 as well. Mid-80s with cloudy skies expected in Louisville today. And that's a look at your forecast, Francis. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Angie. History is set to happen in space this morning with a first ever private spacewalk. 2 members of the all-civilian crew aboard the SpaceX Polaris Dawn are expected to take turns walking along guardrails on their capsule. Their mission was pushed from 2:20 Eastern Time this morning to 5:58. Their main goal is to test out their new SpaceX suits. The 4 astronauts on the mission have already traveled higher above Earth than any human since NASA's Apollo program.